Welcome back to Obscured Reality, a public forum where your mother can even feel safe. Stevie and Mark, back at you. How's it hanging, Stevie?
Pretty fucking good.
Good. That actually is good timing with them race cars and motorcycles and shit out there.
Always.
I like it.
Always with them.
I like it.
All right, I can't wait for winter.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-mm.
We got a good one tonight. Long one, guys. We're gonna do a two-parter here. You'll see why. Oh boy, we're moving into the world of cryptids tonight, guys. Cryptids.
Sweet.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, bipedal. Famous story. You've all heard of it.
Oh.
PGF. Does that acronym mean anything? No, it doesn't. Patterson Gimlin Film, guys.
Oh, okay.
Bigfoot. We all know this one, right? Good.
Yep.
Good. We tonight are going to start by showing you guys the video you've all seen, because we got to watch it. Now, obviously, the first video is the one we've all seen. I don't apologize for the shakiness. I didn't film it. So, just bear with it as you've done in the past. Here we go. Let's just see what we see. And, just pay attention to it. And just a refresh for our memories on this Sasquatch or not. Good God. I mean, if I was sitting there filming this thing, if I faked or not, I'd be like, oh my God, I need to make this as still as possible. I want the best quality video I can take of this thing,
Mm-hmm.
Faked or not faked. Either way, big boobs there. Jesus. I didn't notice that before.
I cannot unsee that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I do what I can do. So this next video, this is the second one, only other video. This is kind of the same thing, just stabilized version. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's a little easier to watch. Here we go. Much easier on the eyes, the brain.
Oh God,
your constitution, everything. Let's replay that once more. Oh,
yes, please.
So much better, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe maybe we need to try something here. Let's
Can you stabilize that last part?
I was gonna see if we could zoom in on it. We can't. So, oh well. Yeah. So that's
great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've all seen it. So we'll get right into it. We're going to go through the story. We're going to go through everything here because there's a lot to this. As you all know, there's a lot of controversy around this film. And mainly the people involved, especially one particular person. So there's a lot we have to, look at here because it's all important. So, Patterson Gimlin Film, let's get into it. The footage, this was shot in October 20th, 1967 in Northern California. The footage was filmed alongside Bluff Creek, which is a tributary of the Klamath River. About a 25 logging road miles. Is a logging road mile different than a normal mile? Whatever. I think they're just saying a logging road, so it's probably a nasty dirt road or something, It's
sure.
About 25 logging road miles northwest of Orleans, California, in Del Norte County on the Six Rivers National Forest. The film site is roughly 38 miles south of Oregon and 18 miles east of the Pacific Ocean. So back to the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail. I mentioned to you quite a few episodes back. Pacific Crest, I think it's called the Pacific Crest Trail. It goes up along the hills and the mountains here down in Southern California and goes all the way up into at least like Oregon and all that. And that whole area up there, like especially I'd say central-ish to mostly Northern California and on up, is there's always a story of alleged Bigfoot sightings.
Yeah. Yeah.
The filmmakers, we all know, they were Roger Patterson. He was born in 1933. He passed away in 1972. And Robert Gimlin, or Bob, he was born in 1931 and still kicking.
To this day?
Well,
wow.
It's not updated with a date of death, so.
Jesus, so, good on him.
Yep. Oh. So Patterson, he died of cancer in 1972 and maintained right to the end that the creature on the film was real. Patterson's friend, Gimlin, has always denied being involved in any part of a hoax with Patterson. Gimlin mostly avoided publicly discussing the subject from at least the early 1970s until about 2005, except for 3 appearances where he began giving interviews and appearing at Bigfoot conferences.
Okay.
So Patterson said he became interested in Bigfoot after reading an article about the creature by Ivan T. Sanderson in True magazine in December of 1959. In 1961, Sanderson published his encyclopedic Abominable Snowman Legend Come to Life, a worldwide survey of accounts of Bigfoot-type creatures, including recent track finds, etc., in the Bluff Creek area, which heightened his interest. Thereafter, Marianne Place wrote, in 1962, he visited Bluff Creek and talked with a whole host of Bigfoot believers. In 64, he returned and met a timber cruiser named Pat Graves.
Timber cruiser.
Don't know what that is. Sounds like cruising on timber down the river.
That's exactly what I thought immediately.
Oh, I'm sure, because it's they're talking about logging roads and all that. I'm sure. Yeah.
Timber cruiser.
Yeah, he drove him to Laird Meadows. There, Patterson saw fresh tracks. For him, an almost unbearably exciting, spine-chilling experience. What a tremendous feat it would be. What a scientific breakthrough if he could obtain unshakable evidence that these tracks were not the work of a prankster, but the actual mark of a hitherto unknown creature.
And he found this on his first time out?
This guy took him out there. Yeah. Cool. Hey, back to coincidences. We'll get there. If he succeeded, he would be famous and rich. Alas, fame and fortune were not gained that year, nor the next. Patterson invested thousands of hours and dollars combing Bigfoot and Sasquatch territory. He fought constant ridicule and a shortage of funds. He founded the Northwest Research Foundation. Through it, he solicited funds. The response was encouraging and enabled him to lead several expeditions. In 1966, he published a paperback book at his own expense. He added the income from its sales and his lectures to the search fund. As each wilderness jaunt failed to see or capture the monster, one by one the thrill seekers dropped out. But Patterson never gave up. That's what this lady
keep on
wrote.
Swimming.
Yeah. I mean, you got to keep your head above water. Then you're gonna have to keep swimming, right? All right. So June of 67, Patterson began filming a docudrama or pseudo-documentary about cowboys.
Docudrama?
Hey.
I like it.
Hey, let's not be too judgmental.
No, that's what it's going to be called from here on out. I like that better. Because it's just a mash of the two words, a documentary and a docudrama.
I'm only a few sips in here. So, I'm good.
My non-alcoholic hot cider.
Yeah, it's not that. So yeah, he Patterson began filming this docudrama in '67, or a pseudo documentary about cowboys being led by an old miner and a wise Indian tracker on a hunt for Bigfoot. The storyline called for Patterson, his Indian guide, which was Gimlin in a wig, and the cowboys
Jeez Lord.
to recall in flashbacks the stories of Fred Beck. You can refer back to the 1924 Ape Canyon incident and others as they tracked the beast on horseback. Interesting. So we're kind of, it's almost like we're seeing a setup here. The storyline called for Patterson, his Indian guide, and the cowboys to recall in flashbacks the stories of Fred Beck and others as they tracked the beast on horseback. Well, if you're not
It's
sure,
one fuck
or
of a reality show. That's
well, if
all I
you're
got.
not you're not aware, the actual Patterson Gimlin film, they were out on their horses, and part of that started on the horse. So we'll get there. For actors and cameraman, Patterson used at least 9 volunteer acquaintances, including Gimlin and Bob Hieronymus, for 3 days of shooting, perhaps over the Memorial Day weekend. Perhaps. Patterson
Perhaps.
Patterson would have needed a costume to represent Bigfoot if the time came to shoot such climatic scenes. Prior to the October 67 filming, Patterson apparently visited Los Angeles on these occasions. The first one, Patterson drove to Hollywood in '64 and visited rockabilly songwriter and guitarist Jerry Lee Merritt, a Yakima, Washington, a Yakima native who was living in Hollywood then. He was trying to sell his hoop toy invention. The second instance, in '66, he visited Merritt again while he was still trying to sell his hoop toy invention. Merritt soon moved back to Yakima and became Patterson's neighbor, and later his collaborator on his Bigfoot documentary. Then again, later in '66, he and Merritt drove down there for several purposes. Patterson visited cowboy film star Roy Rogers for help. He tried to sell his ponies and wagon to Disneyland or Knott's Berry Farm. And then again in the summer of '67, apparently after getting $700 from the Radfords and shooting some of his documentary, they tried unsuccessfully to attract investors to help further fund his Bigfoot movie. They copyrighted or trademarked the term Bigfoot. Both Patterson and Gimlin had been rodeo riders and amateur boxers and local champions in their weight classes. Patterson had played high school football. So, I mean, if you're not
Interesting.
seeing more of a possible setup here, man, I
Yeah.
mean, it couldn't really slap you in the face any harder. Um, they're trying to attract investors. They're failing at this, or at least Patterson is trying and failing. We see him corresponding with people in Hollywood and the film business and all this jazz, right? So he's making
Yeah.
connections and in this type of deal. So the encounter. Oh boy, guys, take a sip of your drinks, take a drag on the bar there, and prepare. Here we go for the encounter, guys. In the early and I want to point out, it's going to be hard for me to do in this, but pay attention to dates and times. I
Okay.
think they're going to be important, as we'll probably read anyways. But in the early afternoon of Friday, October 20th, 1967, Patterson and Gimlin were riding generally northeast or upstream on horseback along the east bank of Bluff Creek. At some time between 1:15 and 1:40 p.m., they came to an overturned tree with a large root system at a turn in the creek, almost as high as a room. When they rounded it, there was a log jam, a crow's nest left over from the flood of '64, and then they spotted the figure behind it nearly simultaneously. It was either crouching beside the creek to their left or standing there on the opposite bank. Gimlin later described himself as in a mild state of shock after first seeing the figure. Now, that's kind of interesting. Gimlin described him almost being in a state of shock himself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, eh, not much word of that from Patterson. Well, at least not yet. We'll see. But Patterson initially estimated the height of the beast at 6 feet 6 inches to 7 feet, and later raised his estimate to about 7 feet 6 inches. Some later analysts, anthropologist Grover Krantz among them, have suggested Patterson's later estimate was about 1 foot too tall. Gimlin's estimate was 6 feet. The film shows what Patterson and Gimlin claimed was a large, hairy bipedal, ape-like figure with short, silvery brown or dark reddish brown or black hair covering most of its body, including its prominent breasts. I mean, we saw that. Yeah, no comments. The figure in the
You
film.
commented already, so.
No, I'm sorry. I got a damn cough from a kid, and Jesus Christ, it's to the last stage. The congestion is all it is. Leave it in. The figure in the film generally matches the descriptions of Bigfoot offered by others who claim to have seen one. I mean, you can't say too much about that other than, well, he got the description because he's heard it from other people, or they really saw it and it matched the description that others, so whatever.
Yeah.
Patterson estimated he was about 25 feet away from the creature at his closest. Patterson said that his horse reared upon sensing the figure.
Far.
Yeah. And so Patterson said that his horse reared upon sensing the figure, and he spent about 20 seconds extricating himself from the saddle, controlling the horse, getting around to its other side, and getting his camera from a saddlebag before he could run toward the figure while operating his camera. He yelled, "Cover me," to Gimlin, meaning to get the gun out. Gimlin crossed the creek on horseback after Patterson had run well beyond it, riding on a path somewhat to the left of Patterson's and somewhat beyond his position. Patterson estimates he came within 60 to 90 feet of Patty. That's, his little name for the Bigfoot. Then, rifle in hand, he dismounted, but did not point his rifle at the creature. The figure had walked away from them to a distance of about 120 feet before Patterson began to run after it. The resulting film, about 59 and a half seconds long at 16 frames per second, is initially quite shaky until Patterson got about 80 feet from the figure. At that point, the figure glanced over its right shoulder at the men, and Patterson fell to his knees. On Krantz's map, this corresponds to frame 264. To researcher John Green, Patterson would later characterize the creature's expression as one of contempt and disgust. You know how it is when the umpire tells you one more word and you're out of the game. That's the way it felt. Whew, there's a lot there, Well, let's keep moving. Shortly after this point, the steady middle portion of the film begins, containing the famous look back frame 352. Patterson said, quote, "It turned a total of, I think, 3 times. The other times, therefore, being before the filming began and or while he was running with his finger off the trigger. Shortly after glancing over its shoulder on film, the creature disappeared behind a grove of trees for 14 seconds, then reappeared in the film's final 15 seconds after Patterson moved 10 feet to a better vantage point, fading into the trees again and being lost to view at a distance of 265 feet as the reel of film ran out." Gimlin remounted and followed it on horseback, keeping his distance until it disappeared around a bend in the road 300 yards away. Patterson called him back at that point, feeling vulnerable on foot without a rifle, because he feared the creature's mate might approach. The entire encounter had lasted less than 2 minutes. Next, Gimlin and Patterson rounded up Patterson's horses, which had run off in the opposite direction downstream before the filming began. Patterson got a second roll of film from his saddlebag and filmed the tracks. Then the men tracked Patty for either 1 mile or 3 miles, but lost it in the heavy undergrowth. They went to their campsite 3 miles south, picked up plaster, returned to the initial site, measured the creature's step length, and made 2 plaster casts, one each of the best quality right and left prints. So they brought plaster and all that, planning to cast Bigfoot prints if they happen to come across any, because it's a hot spot for Bigfoot.
Right. Just convenient. So very convenient.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, if you're part of, let's say you're part of a big, nowadays, right, part of a Bigfoot group and you're going out in the forest where all these stories are at, I wouldn't find it odd if someone brought a bucket of plaster in case you came across some tracks. Of course, if you did happen to come across tracks and the person has the plaster with them, you could easily speculate a setup. But, it's no different than going to your construction job on the new house that your company is building. You're going to bring your fucking hammer. You're bringing what you need for the job in case it's needed. You're going to bring your hammer, your drill, your saw. Maybe you don't use your saw because someone else is using it, using their own saw and doing the cutting, so you don't have to, but you still have it. Is that odd? No. So you could look at it either way. I don't look at it as really odd, but, coincidence. The details, okay?
Yes.
Drag bar guys. Sometimes even the best of us need a break. That's a joke. All right. So, according to Patterson and Gimlin, they were the only witnesses to their brief encounter with what they claimed was a Sasquatch. Their statements agree in general, but author Greg Long notes a number of inconsistencies. They offered somewhat different sequences in describing how they and the horses reacted upon seeing the creature. That's important. Patterson, in particular, increased his estimates of the creature's size in subsequent retellings of the encounter. In a different context, Long argues these discrepancies would probably be considered minor, but given the extraordinary claims made by Patterson and Gimlin, any apparent disagreements in perception or memory are definitely worth noting. I agree. The film's defenders have responded by saying that commercially motivated hoaxers would have got their story straight beforehand, so they wouldn't have disagreed immediately upon being interviewed and on so many points. And so they wouldn't have created a suit and a creature with foreseeably objectionable features and behaviors. These are people who are defending Patterson and Gimlin, and I disagree with that. Everybody's different. And maybe if this was faked, we're going to get there, okay? But, I got to mention it now. One of the rumors, one of the ideas here is that Patterson faked this whole thing and Gimlin had no clue. He was basically playing a joke on him. That is one of the strong ideas.
Really?
So that totally goes against what these defenders of the story are saying, because there'd be no way to get your story straight, because in this instance, if that's true, Gimlin wouldn't have been in on the hoax.
Right.
So Patterson obviously wouldn't want to give things away,
Right.
A more serious objection concerns the film's timeline. This is important because Kodachrome 2 movie film, as far as is known, could only be developed by a lab containing a $60,000+ machine. Keep in mind the year we're in, $60,000 for this machine back in whatever day this was,
67?
60s. So that's a lot, you know.
What
I mean,
the
it's a lot now, but
fuck? Oh my
yeah.
god.
So it could only be developed at a lab that contained this machine, which was over $60,000, and
Right.
the few West Coast labs known to possess one of these did not do developing over the weekends. Keep in mind, this was a Friday when this was filmed. Patterson's brother-in-law, Al Diatley, claims not to remember where he took the film for development or where he picked it up. I'm coughing because I call bullshit on that.
Right? What?
This guy wasn't there. This is his brother-in-law. But let's say the story's true, as Patterson claims, right? Patterson Gimlin claim. You know, if I'm the brother-in-law, I'm sitting at home. My expectation is that Patterson's going to come running in and be like, "Oh my God, Mark, dude, I need your help. I need you to get this film printed. There's very few places. I know one or two, whatever. Dude, you got to do it. I got Bigfoot on film. No joke. Like, you'd be excited. Like,
Right.
it's going to be striking in your brain. You're going to remember the things you're doing at this point, being that you're not involved. You're going to be like, oh my God, yeah, I'm going to this place. Like, there's very specific places they can go, and only a few of them. You're going to have an idea at least of what city you drove to, right?
Yeah.
You know? So, critics claim that too much happened between the filming at 1:15 at the earliest and the filmmaker's arrival in Willow Creek at 6:30 at the latest. Oh boy.
Too much happened.
We're talking about 5 hours basically, guys. So there's a 5-hour difference. 28-mile logging. I mean, you know, that's why I said keep an eye on the dates and the times now.
Yeah.
Because this is where it starts to get important. So, the filming, approximately 1:15 at the earliest, and they arrived in Willow Creek approximately 6:30 at the latest. So, Dagling wrote, all of the problems with the timeline disappear if the film is shot a few days or hours beforehand. If that is the case, one has to wonder what other details of this story are wrong. The film's defenders retort that although the time window was tight, it was doable. Chris Murphy wrote, I have confirmed with Bob Gimlin that Patterson definitely rode a small quarter horse, which he owned, not his Welsh pony, Peanuts. Who cares about the name? Also, that Patterson had arranged to borrow a horse by the name of Chico from Bob Hieronymus for Gimlin to use. Gimlin did not have a horse that was suitable or old enough for the expedition. Hieronymus stated that Chico, a middle-aged gelding, I don't know how you pronounce that.
You're correct.
Yeah, well, gelding, would not jump or buck. Yeah. So what are you thinking up to this point, Stevie? We're getting close. We're getting to halfway here. Slowly.
It sounds very much like a setup. It sounds like one of those things that people who are rich would pay like $20,000 to go on and be like, guaranteed Bigfoot sighting, only because it's a guaranteed staged Bigfoot sighting.
Right.
That's how it feels to me at this point.
Yeah, but this isn't that. These are two friends, right?
I know, but I'm just saying, like, that's the vibes. It's just very much a setup. Like, I just don't believe it. Like if you told me it was a tour with a guaranteed Bigfoot sighting, I would probably believe it a little bit more than this. Like, it just...
Yeah. Well, you know, there's something else important here. Everybody knows that UFOs, Bigfoots, ghosts, they never let you get footage this clear. So they just don't let you.
No.
All right. So
they have this strange like aura around them that prevents like any type of like digital recording.
Or non-digital, for that matter.
I was going to say non-digital, but I just kind of kept it with like the time.
Yeah, the aftermath. At approximately 6:30 p.m., Patterson and Gimlin met up with Al Hodgson at his variety store in Willow Creek. They met up with that's interesting. They met up with. Did they just go there knowing he'd be there, or did they talk to him? If they talked to him, they had to have called him. Obviously, it wouldn't have been on a cell phone. So they met up with Al Hodgson at his variety store in Willow Creek, approximately 54 miles south by road, about 28 miles by Bluff Creek Road from their camp to the 1967 roadhead by Bluff Creek, and 25 and a half miles down California State Route 96 to Willow Creek. Patterson intended to drive on to Eureka to ship his film. Either at that time or when he arrived in the Eureka, Arcata area, he called Al Diatley, his brother-in-law in Yakima, and told him to expect the film he was shipping. He requested Hodgson to call Donald Abbott, whom Grover Krantz described as the only scientist of any stature to have demonstrated any serious interest in the Bigfoot subject. Hoping he would help them search for the creature by bringing a tracking dog. Hodgson called, but Abbott declined. Krantz argued that his call the same day of the encounter is evidence against a hoax, at least on Patterson's part. After shipping the film, they headed back toward their camp, where they had left their horses. Okay. On their way, they stopped at the Lower Trinity Ranger Station as planned, arriving about 9 p.m. Here, they met with Syl McCoy, another friend, and Al Hodgson. At this point, Patterson called the Daily Times Standard newspaper in Eureka and related his story. They arrived back at their campsite at about midnight. At either 5 or 5:30 the next morning, after it started to rain heavily, Gimlin returned to the film site from the camp and covered the other prints with bark to protect them. Let's see. When he returned to the camp, he and Patterson aborted their plan to remain looking for more evidence and departed for home, fearing the rain would wash out their exit. After attempting to go out along the low road, Bluff Creek Road, and finding it blocked by a mudslide, they went instead up the steep Onion Mountain Road, off whose shoulder their truck slipped. Extracting it required the unauthorized borrowing of a nearby front end loader. So somebody had a front end loader right by there with the ability to start.
Ooh, man.
The drive home from their campsite covered about 580 miles, the initial 28 miles on a low-speed logging road, and then about 110 miles on twisty Route 96, driving a truck with 3 horses and allowing for occasional stops. It would have taken 13 hours to get home Saturday evening. At an average speed of 45 miles per hour, it would have taken 14 and a half hours at a 40 mile per hour average speed. All right. So the U.S. Forest Service Timber Management Assistant Lyle Laverty said, I and his team of 3 in a Jeep passed the site on either Thursday the 19th or Friday the 20th and noticed no tracks. No tracks. What are they referring to? Bigfoot tracks or vehicle tracks? I'm guessing vehicle tracks. That's interesting.
Yeah? Okay.
That's interesting. Very interesting, I think.
Yeah.
All right. After reading the news of Patterson's encounter on their weekend break, Laverty and his team returned to the site on Monday the 23rd and made 6 photos of the tracks. Laverty later served as an assistant secretary for the Interior under George Bush. Taxidermist and outdoorsman Robert Titmus went to the site with his sister and brother-in-law 9 days later. Titmus
Don't tell me the tracks were still there, because I'm going to call bullshit already if it rained and there's still tracks.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're paying attention. Here's the last sentence. Titmus made plaster casts of 10 successive prints of the creature and, as best he could, plotted Patterson's and the creature's movements on a map. So, yeah, they're still there after these supposed heavy rain that they were so worried would wash out the road.
Yes. So they put bark in it? And
Yeah, and
what?
these goddamn prints were in this creek bed that you know is gonna be flowing with a heavy rain, man.
Yeah. Nothing about this sounds.
Sus.
Well, everything sounds sus. Nothing sounds right.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I
Mm-mm.
mean,
Sus.
well, we'll see just how sus it is at some point, either in this episode or next. Ooh, hang on. Did I mention it's warm?
Oh yeah, I'm sure
Whew.
it's hot as fuck out there.
Nah, it's not too bad, but
How warm is
all
it?
right. Today was about 95. Didn't quite feel like it, but it wound up being kind of overcast, so it felt a little cooler.
Oh
But
fuck! I
yeah,
think we got up to 75 today.
yeah. It's just this week, but whatever. It is what
Sheesh!
it is.
Fuck that.
Woo! Yeah. All right. So
Mm-mm.
long-term aftermath film related to the film.
Mm.
Aftermath that's related to the film. So
Okay.
Grover Krantz writes that Patterson had the film developed as soon as possible. At first, he thought he had brought in proof of Bigfoot's existence and really expected the scientists to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
But only a few scientists were willing to even look at the film, usually at showings at scientific organizations. These were usually arranged at the behest of zoologist, author, and media figure Ivan Sanderson, a supporter of Patterson's film. 7 showings occurred in Vancouver, Manhattan, the Bronx, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, and Washington, D.C. Again, all by the end of 68. Then, later in Beaverton, Oregon, hey, of those who were quoted, most expressed various reservations, although some were willing to say they were intrigued by it. I mean, hoax or not, it's still kind of intriguing, you know.
Yeah.
You know. So Christopher Murphy wrote, DeHinden traveled to Europe with the film. In 1971, he visited England, Finland, Sweden, Switzerland, and Russia. Although scientists in these countries were somewhat more open minded than those in North America, their findings were basically the same. A real glimmer of hope, however, emerged in Russia, where he met Bayanov, Bortsev, and their associates. Though I think I did good there. Though there was little, though there was little scientific interest in the film, Patterson was still able to capitalize on it. He made a deal with the BBC, allowing the use of his footage in a docudrama made in return for letting him tour with their docudrama, into which he melded material from his own documentary, and additional material he and Al Diatley filmed.
Uh,
Now that's kind of freaking interesting, okay?
yeah.
Hold up. Okay. I don't care if I'm a filmmaker and I happen to have some interest in Bigfoot and I was trying to create a docudrama and then me and a friend go out looking for Sasquatch and oh Jesus Christ, we actually find one and let's say it's true
Right.
and we get this video. Now I give this to BBC and I say, well, I want to go on tour. That's what I want. Obviously, some money from
Yeah.
this. Fine. I get that, but
Mm-hmm.
I also want to go on tour with this film.
Yeah.
Cool. But in doing so, I would think I'd be so just excited that I actually saw this thing. Blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. I wouldn't be trying to throw in crap from some film I was trying to make before seeing this. You're going to muddy the water. You're going to make it look
It
suspicious.
more than it already does.
Yep. So, this film was shown in local movie houses around the Pacific Northwest and Midwest. A technique commonly used for nature films called forewalling was employed, involving heavy local advertising, mostly on TV, of a few days of showings. It was a modest financial success. Al Diatley estimated that his 50% of the film's profits amounted to $75,000. I mean, not bad back then.
No.
The film generated a fair amount of national publicity. Patterson appeared on a few popular TV talk shows to promote the film and belief in Bigfoot by showing excerpts from it. For instance, on the Joe Pine Show in Los Angeles in 1967, which covered most of the western U.S., on Merv Griffin's program with Krantz offering his analysis of the film, on Joey Bishop's talk show, and also on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show.
Ooh.
Articles on the film appeared in Argosy, National Wildlife Magazine, and Reader's Digest.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
One radio interview with Gimlin by Vancouver-based Jack Webster in November of 1967 was partly recorded by John Green and reprinted by Lauren Coleman's Bigfoot Patterson. By Lauren Coleman's Bigfoot. Patterson also appeared on broadcast interviews on local stations near where his film would be shown during his four-walling tour in 1968. Patterson subsequently sold overlapping distribution rights for the film to several parties, which resulted in costly legal entanglements. After Patterson's death, Michael McLeod wrote, with the consent of Al Datley and Patricia Patterson, possibly the wife. The film distributor Ron Olson took over the operation of Northwest Research and changed its name to the North American Wildlife Researchers Association. He worked full-time compiling reports, soliciting volunteers to join the hunt, and organizing several small expeditions. A Bigfoot trap Olson and his crew built still survives. Olson continued to lobby the company, American National Enterprises, to produce a Bigfoot film. In 1974, A-N-E, three letters, not A and E. So
A
A-N-E.
ampersand.
Yeah, finally, that's, American National Enterprises finally agreed. It was released in 1975, titled Bigfoot, Man or Beast. He devised a storyline involving members of a Bigfoot research party. Olson spent several years exhibiting the film around the country. He planned to make millions with the film, but says it lost money. Olson is profiled in Barbara Wasson's Sasquatch apparitions.
It's a great last name.
On November 25th, 1974, CBS broadcast Monsters, Mystery or Myth, a documentary about the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot. It was co-produced by the Smithsonian Institution, which canceled their contract, blah, 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 blah. The show attracted 50 million viewers. In 1975, Sun Classic Pictures released Bigfoot, the Mysterious Monster. Yeah, we got a couple, quite a few things that were released here. Bigfoot, the Mysterious Monster, a.k.a. The Mysterious Monsters, which remixed parts of Monsters, Mystery or Myth, another documentary called Land of the Yeti, and also included footage from the Patterson Gimlin film. So, the long-term aftermath as it relates to filmmaker. Patterson's expensive $369 16mm camera had been rented on May 13th from photographer Harold Matson at Shepard's Camera Shop in Yakima. But he had kept it longer than the contract had stipulated, and an arrest warrant had been issued for him on October 17th. He was arrested within weeks of his return from Bluff Creek. After Patterson returned the camera in working order, this charge was dismissed in 1969.
Wow.
Yeah.